to mental moments where small changes have lasting ripples. This week, talking about hypnosis, particularly as hypnosis is used as a vehicle for change in self improvement programs. And today, that's what we're going to talk about: why use hypnosis. Now, if you haven't seen the top myths, that's the first video. So you can check out the first video, in which I talk about all the different myths of what hypnosis is and isn't, mostly what it isn't. And today I'm going to focus on why use it. So, why use it? It works. It leads to change faster. And why is that? So, let's talk about what hypnosis is. Okay, if you haven't heard of it, there's something called a circadian rhythm. And that's kind of the rhythm that, you know, leads us through our day. And when we wake up, and then we'll have moments of going up and down and up and down. For example, when we're awake and first awake, that's a great time to learn something new. And then we get started with our day and we'll peak and then we'll have this kind of, and then we'll have lunch and then the famous after lunch slump. And a lot of people use chemicals to try to get rid of that. Hey, please don't. Bad. Your brain is actually using that. It actually has a reason for that. And then we'll go up and then down and then go into towards sleep. What I'm sharing is a page that comes out of one of my self-guided workbooks. And this page comes out of my self-guided workbook on hypnosis, and it's going to lead us through what is circadian rhythm and the normal brain states. So the circadian rhythm is the body's 24-hour clock, and these rhythms are both physical, mental, and behavioral changes that follow this 24-hour cycle. It's usually with the sun. That's why people who work nights tend to have a lot of issues with their clock, so to speak. And they respond primarily to light and dark and affect most living things, including animals, plants, and microbes. Now, the brain has different electrical charges at differing wavelengths. So, it's a wave. And they'll have frequencies and lengths, heights and lengths. And the closer together, the faster, the longer, the apart, the slower. Many of these waves occur simultaneously. But depending on the activity and the region of the brain, often one wavelength will dominate. And now hypnotists utilize the brain's natural learning state of theta, because we don't have to believe something in this state, and learn it quite quickly. Think about a kid, and when they're very young, you can tell them stuff and they're like these little sponges. That's because they believe that maybe they're in a theta brain state. Okay. And then that way they learn this stuff very, very quickly. Now, hypnotists use something called the alpha theta doorway. And it is, as we'll talk about, alpha is most often creativity. So we use a lot of visualizations to help bring that person into a nice visual imagination. And it, of course, is right above theta. So then we go to imagination, and then we drop into the hypnotic state, and boom. And we can do some work. As part of our natural rhythms, we tend to have periods of theta throughout the day in which we drift into that nice theta state, which the brain is usually utilizing to consolidate material. And we can enter this state every 90 to 120 minutes or so. And that's why I say avoid the chemical, the caffeine and stuff after lunch, because that's one of those typical consolidation moments. And of course, the best time to learn something is within the 15 minutes of waking or the 15 minutes prior to falling asleep. This is also an excellent time for positive practices such as gratitude or affirmations. Okay. Okay, let's talk about all the brain states. Gamma, this is the fastest of the brain waves and are known for concentration and problem solving. Regular and practiced meditators will often achieve these states. They're very fast, they tend to be quick. All right. Now, as you're listening to me, I'm hoping you're in beta. Now, this is the second fastest brain wave and is mostly associated with the busy brain or the active mind. This is a part of brain that, is problem solving, trying to figure out all the good stuff of the day, concentrating, and it's also the discerning brainwave. So it's the kind of like BS monitor, for no better of a word. So something comes in, you're like, nope, disregard. So beta is kind of the keeper of the gate, so to speak. Now, alpha, this is kind of a medium wavelength, and it's most associated with creativity and imagination. And it's often more relaxed. So if you're that's why therapists have things like, doing coloring or these other creative activities, hobbies and stuff, because it's nice, relaxing, and it gets the brain to drop out of beta and into an alpha, creative and imaginative state. This is also what hypnotists used in inductions and deepeners to help a person move out of the beta and towards theta, because we got to get past that, a keeper at the gate, so to speak. And so this is where we use a lot of visualizations and images to kind of help the person move through and into alpha. Theta, this is the hypnotic state, basically. It is known as kind of the downloading state, so to speak. And it's where our brain is storing learned material and moving it to long-term storage, that sort of thing. This is also a state in which we can lose time doing repetitive tasks. Have you ever had the experience you're driving along on a route you've been on many, many times, and then you get to where you're at and you're like, did I drive? Oh, okay. So you're often in theta. This state is also one in which a hypnotist can make suggestions because it goes straight into the mind as a fact. So believability is not required. So for example, let's say I'm helping somebody quit smoking and I say, cigarettes are poison wrapped in white paper. To the brain's like, got it, I'm in theta. Cigarettes are poison wrapped in white paper. Now I can reject that, but I'm going to not reject it because I'm like, nah, it's not, or there's not the beta brain going, is it really, poison? I don't know. No, the theta brain's like, yep, it's poison wrapped in white paper. Now I can reject that. I've had people reject suggestions because they're like, no, I don't want it to be poison wrapped in white paper. They're going to believe it's poison wrapped in white paper, but they just don't want to consider that, so they'll reject it. Now, the last state is delta. Now, these are a range of wavelengths all associated with sleep. And the lengths range from light to deep sleep and have periods of rapid eye movement or REM sleep. A few notes about theta. Believability is not required. What do I mean by that? Remember, in theta, you'll take something in as fact. That's why, like, with little kids, we can tell them Santa Claus and stuff, and they're like, oh, yes, there's Santa Claus. They take it in as fact. Their little brains are in theta. Now, you can always tell when they start getting beta on board, because then you say somebody like, what are you going to get from Santa this year? And they go, there's no such thing as Santa. I'm like, oh, bummer, beta's on board. Ha! So that gatekeeper will slow learning in a sense and require, because you're talking to the conscious mind versus the unconscious mind. In theta, I'm just going right straight through and writing on the unconscious mind, so to speak, as if it were a blackboard and I can just write messages onto it. So believability is not a factor. So number one, theta brain state is a brain state, natural, normal, and a healthy normal brain. It's a natural brain state. We can go to it in different times, such as naturally in our circadian rhythm. During times where we're doing very repetitive tasks, we're born kind of with theta brain state. And as I will talk in the next episode, under duress or stress. And four, when a therapist is asking you to do so using hypnosis. All right, so if you haven't seen the first episode on myths, you can do so now on my YouTube channel or Mental Moments at morejoyfullife.com. And stay tuned to the next episode when I talk about accidental hypnosis. Take care.